So say 30 or 40 years ago in the 1980s or 1990s, if you were from, say, a small town and you went to a gym and you were deadlifting 500 pounds, it's very probable that you were the strongest person in that gym. But at the same time, you might have been the strongest person that you knew of. You might not have known anyone as strong as you, or anyone who could lift that kind of weight, because back then, no social media, no internet. People didn't have this thing of comparing themselves to others. But it's a very different world now. Very different world now. You could go to a gym. Say you live in a small town and you go to a gym and you can deadlift 500 pounds. You might still be the strongest person in that gym because you don't see a lot of 500 pound deadlifts in commercial gyms. But there's no way on earth that you are the strongest person you know. Quick glance on Instagram, YouTube, social media, and you're going to see 16, 17-year-olds deadlifting 600 pounds. It's crazy. And some of these lads who are 16, 17, they don't even look that big, do they? And it's crazy to think they're deadlifting like 600, 700 pounds. And it makes you think, well, how come? I know there's been an explosion in the popularity of powerlifting and stuff, but it makes you think, how come these feats of strength are getting so ridiculous now? Is it evolution? Are people just getting naturally stronger? Are young men getting stronger? See, I don't think that's the case at all. I would say that, on the whole, men seem to be getting weaker in general. Just society does, doesn't it? It's people seem to be less resilient and less tough, less strong. Is it a case of, is it PED use, PEDs? I don't think it is, because you see a lot of these lads and they don't look like they're on a lot of gear. They might be on a bit, maybe, but they're not. A lot of them don't look like they even have much muscularity, and they're still deadlifting 600-700 pounds. So what is it? And what I think it is, the main reason, I think it's the Roger Bannister effect. And obviously Roger Bannister was the first man to break the 4-minute mile. He did that in 1954, I think. And people have been trying to break that 4-minute mile since the middle of the 19th century. Experts at the time said it couldn't be done. It could only be done under perfect conditions. The weather had to be such perfect, it had to be warm, the track had to be a certain way, this and that. Anyway, Roger Bannister, he wasn't exceptional in the physical sense. He wasn't any more gifted than anyone else. He didn't have this supreme genetics. In fact, he didn't train as crazy as a lot of people did. Apparently, he only trained an hour a day. Didn't do any crazy sprints or anything, but the thing that separated Roger Bannister was his mindset. Apparently, when he retired, he didn't pursue a career in athletics. He went on to become a neurosurgeon, but he was absolutely convinced in the power of the mind. Belief mainly. And he used to spend most of his time conditioning his mind as much as his body. And he was a massive believer that you had to believe you could do something, otherwise you couldn't. Now, he didn't see the 4-minute mile as this impenetrable physical barrier. He saw it as this impenetrable mental barrier that people just couldn't get over. Now, he believed a lot in visualization. He would visualize himself crossing that finishing line in under 4 minutes. And then he finally did it. He was the first man to do it. But the thing was, when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, within 60-odd days, an Australian runner called, I think, Julian Lanley, might be wrong, but he not only broke Roger Bannister's record, he run the mile in 3 minutes 57. So he absolutely smashed the 4-minute barrier. And within 12 months of Roger Bannister completing under 4 minutes for a mile, 5 people went on to do it. Now that just shows you, to me, that it was a mental thing. Once people believed that it could be done, once people saw that that other people were capable of doing it, it made them believe they could do it. And I'm convinced that's what it is now with the surging, crazy strength feats with people on social media. If you're just a normal, say, 17, 18-year-old lad, and you're looking on social media, you're seeing lots and lots of people of your age, your build, your background, lifting crazy amounts of weight. And when you see that, obviously you think, well, if they can do it, so can I. It gets you over that mental barrier where you think it is impossible. You now start to believe it's possible. And if you combine that belief with hard work, perseverance, you can achieve these crazy feats. I'm convinced that's what it is. I don't think it's people have evolved, or I don't think it's ped use. I just think it's a mental thing now. People compare, they watch other people, and they believe that they can do it. It's like with the deadlift. I think that 502 or 505 kilo deadlift isn't far off. It wasn't long back when people said no one would ever deadlift 500 pound, and now Eddie Hall's done it, Thor's done it. I think there's a few sumo pullers who've done it or have been very close to doing it, and I'm absolutely convinced that Mitchell Hooper is going to get it within the next year. I think he was going to either deadlift 502 or maybe even 505 kilograms, because Mitchell Hooper to me strikes me like a guy who seriously believes he can do it, the way he's been speaking. I know Thor failed the 501 again recently, but I will bet that Mitchell Hooper gets that 505. But yeah, it's just I'm convinced that, especially with the deadlift of all lifts, it's a psychological thing. I mean, my brother tells me he's teaching himself weightlifting, that if he thinks he's going to fail a lift, he's going to fail it. He has to know for certain that lift is going to, it's going to go up. So yeah, it's a massively underappreciated thing, I think, the mental side of lifting or any physical endeavour. You have to have the belief. You have to believe you can do it. And that's what separates the elite from the great, shall we say. That's just my opinion anyway. So yeah, it's just been something that's I've been thinking about today. Had a good session today, back on the upper body. Moved up a couple of kilo with the press, 4 sets of 8. Moved a couple of kilo with the close grip bench to 67.5 for sets of 12. The snatch grip high pulls, 4 sets of 6 at 75. I'm really enjoying doing them again. Feel like I'm filling out a lot around my shoulders and traps now. And then I did my 3 AMRAPs with the handle push-ups. I got a 20, a 15 and a 12. Obviously, I'd worked the tries quite a bit beforehand. But yeah, it was a very good session. And my legs aren't as sore as I thought they'd be from yesterday. Had a really good session with the belt squat yesterday, and I'm really looking forward to these Sunday sessions, building some mass on the legs.